I will tell you everything I know about the place where my third or second self grew up. We built this space from scratch within ourselves, but its design is subject to continuous demolition. From item to item, from night to day, from mother to daughter, on a fingertip, on the edge of your vision, between the lines, at the back of my mind, one can find bridges and walls of paper, and imprinted birthmarks in the shape of eyes, windows, gardens, pots and pans, a book, shadows falling on a tiled floor, images commonly addressed to his memories. But let me go back to the beginning. At first, it was impossible to realize that I had moved into a different place because everything looked exactly the same. Heimat, your home, gets substituted by feelings that you develop for certain people around you. Every word, each time our eyes meet and memories collide, every glance on the old habits, a still warm bed in the morning, superfluous streets we crossed together, all these things continually flowed, streamed towards this pool of possible meaning. Thou art that, which is to say, I am you, as I am all. My third or second self is not myself anymore, and thus I can only find myself in where you are not. There is my safe place and my temporary truthful zone. The sphere of non-conditionality is one that sits quietly in time, that is beyond resurrection, that is like water running through the archivist's fingers. It is the abolished reality that escapes your contrived hegemony. And it is the same picture that I used to associate with your forgotten, mnemonic landscape, and that again relates to the traces of your ancestors, who left their native land, involuntarily or not, to beat about, to tack, to interlace, to catch a glimpse, to back-cross these imprinted images, and then to avert my eyes in order to hide this killing glance in front of my peers. I start to praise the spirit of the commune, I discuss performativity, I preach and preach to myself. And then again, my head resting on the clattering window frame in the train cabin at night with strangers. There comes contemplation on the state of failure. There comes readjustment to the world where the events are against us, and once more I have to go back to the start. In conversation, one might find an idea of one's own true face through the eyes of the other. But when I appropriate this view, is it not forgiveness that's dripping from the incapacity of language? I cannot see your tongue, but it wrecks my nerves, this state. Countless images of the places where you think you were born, and the landscapes of your upbringing keep recurring against, strongly working against placeless locales that we morningly inhabit in our spare time. True work only ever evolves in between these two, held up and disintegrated through their bipolar force. Always this work stays endangered by overwhelming vanity, ambition, subjected to the tidal currents of external control, and more boringly, internal immigration. My grandmothers were in political conditions, as they were human, zoon politikon. They were stitched together in fascism, and they did not know, or this is what they made me believe, because they cared for me and they cared for their face. So when I look into your face, your human, your private, your political face, their guilt is inscribed in your eyes that are looking at me. One thing I know is that my work is where my grandmothers are buried. I have to excavate their remains, I have to investigate their places, and I have to bring their images about. This is one among the few things I can do. It is such vertical trespass that is to be sought, digging into the layers of personal account, of the historical irritation, the surreal and the subterranean, and the excrement and the spilled guts of 40,000 years. Under the skin of a Neolithic barrow, there will be the foundation of my repeatedly created self, a recreation that is following the encoded instructions of phylogenesis. If the age of the land is tied to the inner ancestral burial grounds, then I will carry the blackness of this seedbed to whichever place I arrive at, and keep excavating the very artifacts here or there. In every act of love we commit to death. The louder we raise our voices, the clearer we make the limitation of any endeavor. But then one keeps walking along this endless path that seems to be ending in nowhere, because the baton of knowledge is passed on to the next runner, like the Gospels, each one a political account of its own time and constellation of force. The deliverance is filtering through the soil of Europe, on holy and contaminated ground, along the dusty summer avenues. You see the black boots marching, cutting through this eastern brutal timelessness. These avenues and polished tracks, they look back into the now and to myself. This is what nurtures the innermost, and this is the nourishment and the shade of grey on the land of my upbringing. and I need to think of what you drank as a newborn child when I gaze at you in a landscape like a spy. Hardly anything can be known for real about the self and its past, but language is the only spade we hold to ablate the excrescence of history, to dig this hole where the only shabby thing to find is this temporal and sentimental truth.